rules changes in the NCAA are coming down. There's some that are just okay. There's one that desperately needed to be made. And I didn't really know how to fix this. And I'm not sure I like the response, but it's going to help Tennessee. So basically, explain what happens when a player is injured. And the issue at hand has been you got a lot of coaches that have made, mostly Lane Kiffin, that have made a mockery of the injury situation because you will tell a guy to act like he's hurt. It happens against Josh Heupel and his offense all the time. And I would go on record. I never question a guy's toughness or injury because I don't have the ability to do that. But I'll go on record and say 75% of the time you see somebody hurt in a Tennessee game when Tennessee has the ball. 75% of the time they are not really hurt and they're trying to slow tempo. Would you agree or disagree with that?
1,000% agree.
Okay, I'm not even sure. I wanted to say 90%, but I thought that was too strong. All right. So how's the new rule? And to clarify, this is not a proposal. This is a change, correct?
Yes, this has been approved. This new rule has been approved pretty much.
Okay.
So this new rule, let's go ahead and break it down here. With injuries in college football. If medical personnel enters the field after the ball is spotted for the next play, the team is charged a timeout. If a team is out of timeouts, a 5-yard delay of game penalty is going to be enforced.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you my thoughts, or do you want to get first?
Well, I just want to tell you this. Well, let's start with this. Let me tee you up. How does this help Tennessee? I think it's obvious, but how does it help Tennessee?
Oh, it's totally obvious. Obviously, Tennessee can now run its tempo if they want to.
Right. So like used to be a player would go down, he would be air quotes hurt, and then they would be able to sub all 11 guys if they wanted to. Now, Tennessee could sub as well, and I thought they were innovative in 2022 because they'd bring a double tight end look on the goal line, which is oftentimes when this happened because Tennessee would attack somebody down the field and then run tempo. Like the Princeton fan end around, part of that was because Tennessee subbed as well. But as a whole, you don't want the defense subbing in Josh Heupel's system. So now you really can't do that unless you're really hurt. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think this will force players to stay on the field when they may be hurt, and it could make the injury worse. This helps Josh Heupel. This helps Tennessee. But I think this is a totally unfair rule for college athletes.
Okay, I was actually on your side for a while because I thought, man, that's a severe penalty, a timeout or a 5-yard penalty. I thought just keep the player off the field for a drive. But Dave, I've changed, and let me tell you why I've changed. There's a very key detail here. It's if medical personnel has to enter the field after the refs spot the ball. So, if you are truly hurt, you're going to be down before the refs spot the ball. And the medical personnel can then enter the field before the ref spots the ball. If you're most of the reason this is I didn't even think about this rule until they did it. Most of these injuries being faked, guys, look at it when it happens. It happens after the ref spots the ball. It almost always happens after the ref spots the ball.
Fair point. So they will kind of stumble along. They'll get a sign from an unknown man on the sideline, and then they're like, "Oh, my hammy."
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I think that the biggest thing is because it's after now. That doesn't mean that they still can't do it. You know, Lane Kiffin is already coaching his players. Man, if you're tired, go down before the ref spots the ball. Make sure you go down before Lane Kiffin will send his medical personnel out onto the field, like just randomly, won't he, Dave?
Yes.
At that point, look, but it's a lot harder now to get away with this. So I wasn't a fan of it at first because I agree. I don't believe in penalizing people for injuries because I think you are setting a bad precedent and you're going to incentivize people to play hurt.
I didn't mean to laugh at you, but Adam said, I'd rather see a guy get extra hurt before I see a healthy guy cry and roll around like a baby.
Okay, this is not like we're not the Roman Colosseum gladiators. We're not seeing human beings get extra hurt.
Extra hurt is a new term. Can we use that? Extra hurt.
Oh my gosh, extra.
How hurt is he? Well, he's on the injury report as extra hurt, so he's not playing against Vanderbilt this week.
Yeah, you don't want to see that, Adam. I don't want to see a Kevin Ware or Willis McGahee injury. I'd rather see a fake injury than we'll have to look at that on my screen. Player with a broken leg gets up and walks and tries to run the next play.
Now, UT Punkin said they also need to let the player stay out for the possession. I thought that was an answer. I think that's better answer.
That seems like the best answer, but this whole after the ref spots the ball, that's a very fair rule, I think. Now, it's still a little tricky with the tempo Tennessee runs, but here's what's going to happen. A player's going to be down, because then you can go to the replay booth, Dave, because say like a player's down, the ref spots the ball, the ref rules a timeout or a delay of game penalty, you can then challenge and send the ref to the replay booth to prove that the player was down before the ref spotted the ball. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And so I think this actually works out really, really, really well long term. I think that this is better than this is a better rule than I ever even considered. So, sorry?
I hate it.
Well, you just think that, I don't know. I don't know what you think.
The only answer to this is integrity, Caleb.
Oh, wow. Integrity. Yeah, that's really going to happen.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's the only answer. Trust me, I've thought about it a lot. This is one I guarantee you didn't think of because none of us did. No, I've thought of penalizing them with a timeout.
No, not after the ref spots the ball, though. That big caveat changes everything.
Yeah, but ultimately, you are going to try to encourage a player to stay on the field due to injury so that his team doesn't lose the timeout. That's just a fact.
I'm not so sure on that. I got to be honest. I'm not so sure. The other part of the fake injuries, and I don't get what this is, but like, I saw where they're doing a rule where if a player on a kickoff return makes a T signal with his arms during the kick, the team gives up the right to return the kick.
Were people, I don't want to get into these other rules.
My question is, were people doing the timeout sign returning kickoffs?
That makes no sense. Remember the Dallas Cowboys were about to advance into the playoffs, or maybe they were going to beat the Detroit Lions the year that was when they played. But anyway, that they had a signal from the quarterback to Jimmy Johnson, the head coach, that was like this. And for those in our audio platforms, I apologize. I'm putting one hand in between my two fingers on the other hand. And they got charged with a timeout that they didn't mean to. So that's the one example I have of fake timeout calls.
That's kind of interesting. Maybe someone did.
And you got Troy Aikman. It made Jimmy Johnson look like a college coach that was out of his league because Troy Aikman was going, no, not a timeout. That goes way back.